Jeffrey Epstein. It's a name that's become synonymous with unbelievable wealth, incredible power, and a truly horrific web of abuse that reached the highest levels of society. So today, we're going to unpack this story behind the headlines to really understand the so-called Epstein files and all the secrets they might still be holding.
You know, this isn't just one story. It's this messy, sprawling web of secrets. It connects a private island, some of the world's most powerful people, and a really mysterious death in a high-security jail that, let's be honest, a lot of people don't believe was a suicide. The Epstein files. That's the name for all the legal documents, the flight logs, the testimony that's been slowly unsealed, and it's all painting a very, very dark picture. So, what does it all really mean?
To really get this story, you have to start at the very center of it all. So let's go to this 72-acre private island in the Caribbean. An island that was designed to look like an absolute paradise, but was hiding a horrifying reality.
To Epstein and his powerful guests, it was Little St. James, a luxurious escape, private docks, every amenity you can imagine. But for the rest of the world, and most importantly for his victims, it got a much, much darker name, Epstein Island.
And the island itself? Wow. It was just filled with these bizarre, really unsettling clues. The FBI found this temple-like building with a golden dome. There were all these rumors of underground tunnels, maybe so staff could move around unseen, or maybe for guests to make a quick getaway. And then you add in strange statues everywhere, hidden cameras, even hormonal medicines found during a raid. This was definitely no ordinary billionaire's hideaway.
Okay, so this just begs the question, right? Who was Jeffrey Epstein really? I mean, how does a guy go from being a high school math teacher to a billionaire power broker with his own private island?
His journey it's a weird one. It starts in the 1970s. He's a math teacher, but his real ambition was always Wall Street. And his big break came when he got in with Leslie Wexner, the billionaire founder of Victoria's Secret. He started managing his immense fortune, and that was it. That was his springboard into the world of the super elite.
And the kind of wealth he built up, it's just staggering. It wasn't just the island. He owned a 75,000-acre ranch in New Mexico, one of the biggest private mansions in all of Manhattan, and a luxury apartment in Paris. The guy had built a global empire.
But here's the thing. Epstein's most valuable asset wasn't his money or his island or his mansion. It was his network, his connections to the most powerful and famous people on the planet. That's what gave him a shield, a kind of legitimacy that let him operate the way he did for decades. And this network, this just scratches the surface. Sources claim former President Bill Clinton flew on Epstein's private jet, the one infamously known as the Lolita Express, 26 times. Donald Trump was a friend back in the 90s. And then there's Britain's Prince Andrew, who was accused of abuse by Virginia Giuffre in the scandal that cost him his royal duties. Even someone like Bill Gates was in his social circle.
But right there, at the very center of this whole web, right next to Epstein, was Ghislaine Maxwell. She's the daughter of a British media tycoon. But she wasn't just his girlfriend. Sources describe her as the mastermind of the whole operation. Her job was to find and groom vulnerable young girls, often tricking them with promises of jobs and money.
For years, it felt like this wall of power and secrecy was just impenetrable. But eventually, the sheer bravery of his victims started to put cracks in that wall, and that led to a long, frustrating, and difficult fight for justice.
Just look at this. The difference is, it's insane. Back in 2008, even with dozens of victims, Epstein got this secret sweetheart plea deal. He served only 13 months, mostly in a private wing of a jail, and got to leave every day for work release. The deal protected him and his powerful buddies. It wasn't until 2019 that he was finally rearrested on serious federal trafficking charges. Bail was denied, and he was staring at life in prison. So, what changed? How did we get from that sweetheart deal to a real arrest? Well, the path was long, and it all started with the incredible bravery of victims like Courtney Wild, who first went to the police way back in 2005. Then, in 2018, a groundbreaking report by journalist Julie K. Brown blew the lid off that secret 2008 plea deal. The public outrage was massive, and it's what led directly to Epstein's rearrest in 2019.
It finally looked like justice was on the horizon. The story goes that a lot of powerful people were terrified he was going to start naming names to save himself. But then the story took its most shocking and most controversial turn yet.
On August 10, 2019, Jeffrey Epstein was found dead in his cell at a high-security federal jail in New York. The official story? Suicide.
But the question that exploded, and that's still echoing today, is, was he silenced? I mean, think about it. The circumstances were just wildly suspicious. The two CCTV cameras right outside a cell mysteriously malfunctioned, the two guards who were supposed to be watching him were supposedly asleep and later admitted they faked the records, and get this, he had just been taken off suicide watch. For a lot of people, it was all just a little too convenient.
And all that skepticism kind of boiled down into this one huge cultural moment. You've probably seen it. Epstein didn't kill himself. It became this viral slogan, basically a shorthand for the widespread belief that he was murdered to make sure the secrets of his powerful friends died right there with him. So Epstein himself might have escaped a trial, but the story was far from over. All eyes immediately turned to his #1 accomplice, Ghislaine Maxwell. She was arrested in 2020, and after a trial where victims gave just harrowing testimony, she was found guilty. In June 2022, she was sentenced to 20 years behind bars for her role in these horrific crimes.
And in the end, the aftermath did bring some kind of accountability. Maxwell got her 20-year sentence. A victims' compensation fund set up with Epstein's money paid out over $121 million to more than 150 survivors. And while that's a form of justice, you know it can never really erase the damage that was done.
But this brings us right back to the files themselves. You see a number like 30,000 pages and you think, wow, that's a lot. But hold on. That's just a tiny, tiny fraction of the whole story. It's estimated there are still over 1 million pages related to this case that are totally secret, locked away from all of us.
So that's where we are. Epstein is gone, Maxwell is in prison. But with more than 1 million pages of documents still under wraps, the biggest question of all is still out there. Whose names are in those files? And will their secrets ever really see the light of day?